Well, hey, good morning, friends. It's that time of year again. Springtime in the beautiful Central Valley. So here we are biking. Just got to be careful with snakes. Could be a problem. So today's touch point, there is a passage that touched me really quite deeply. I'm going to share it with you. And this comes out of Matthew chapter 28. And this is the part where Jesus had just been tried and crucified. And it's the resurrection time. So Mary and the other Mary had come to the tomb the day after Jesus was buried, and the stone had been rolled away, and there was this angel sitting on top of the stone. And he said, "Hey guys, hey gals, what are you looking for? I think you're looking for Jesus." And he said this, he said, "He's not here. He was raised from the dead." He said, "Now go ahead and go get all the guys, all the disciples, and y'all head on over to Galilee. He's going to see you there." So the gals got themselves together, very emotional time for them, collected themselves, went and got all the disciples, went to Galilee. And when they got there to Galilee, Jesus showed up. And it says this is the part that touched me. It says, "And when they saw Jesus, they worshiped." And I tell you, there's something about whenever we see Jesus, it prompts in us a heart of worship. And so we can be just like they did, which is a worshiping people. You see, Jesus was talking to the woman at the well, and he said, God is spirit, and he's looking for worshipers who worship out of spirit and in truth. So friends, if Jesus becomes real to us, it is really appropriate to fully get a sense of who he is. It's okay if you feel that. And then that prompts us to worship. We just respond back to what he's doing in us. We respond back with words of affirmation, words of praise, declaration of how good he is, declaration of the truth. Well, they saw him in bodily form, and we can see him too today. Sometimes we see him in his word. Sometimes we see him in the lives of others. If you're blessed by someone doing something beautiful for you, that's Jesus. He's showing up. He showed himself to you. We see him in church, in the worship service, and the brothers and sisters, when the word's preached, and sometimes we get touched. It's appropriate that we'd respond, seeing Jesus in that fashion, to worship. Thank you, Lord, because you're so good to me. You're so satisfying to me. You're so filling to me. We speak that out. That always has an expression outwardly too. It's not really enough to speak words of praise, which is beautiful, and that facet of worship is exactly what's called for. If it's true worship, though, it's going to come out in other ways. It's going to leak out. Your Jesus will show somewhere else. Romans 12:2 tells us, Romans 12, I think it's verse 1. It says that we would offer ourselves a living sacrifice, which is your only reasonable form of worship. So there we see another facet of worship. So the worship deep in our heart that we sense in our spirits, that we feel, that we respond to. It has an expression through our actions then. That's the appropriate response, as we would then stop doing things that we used to do. As we would stop saying things we used to say, things that weren't nice, things were sarcastic, things were mean, things were angry. We stop doing that, and we live the life. That's a living sacrifice. That's a form of worship too. So we have the worship with our just expression back to Jesus, and then we have a worship of a changed life, offering that up as a living, not a dead, but a living sacrifice. And then it often has an expression to others. We testify to those we see. That's worship. We serve those who are less fortunate. That's worship. We would consider the meek and the lowly, the outcast, downtrodden. That's worship. So in our lives, there's multiple forms of worship. And when we see Jesus, any of those are appropriate, my friends. But let it always start with a heart that will fully sense him, feel him, receive him. And let that come out through our hearts and expressive words and behaviors. And let's have its full expression out when we serve others. You guys are doing good. Let's take the season of coming back to church, wherever you go, SouthPoint or anywhere else. Get fully involved, fully vested. Jesus is looking for people who will worship. That's you. That's me. And he will do something really neat, we think, in these days as we come back to worship him in all of its facets. We love you. You're doing good. We'll see you at 10 a.m. Next Sunday. And keep on worshiping. And let that expression have its life to your family and to everyone else. We love you. We'll talk to you soon.